I want to tonight. We're doing a replay. We tried to do this 2 months ago, and in good faith, I thought let's have open readings, just like I used to have back in the day when we would open readings to the public and anyone could come for free. And then we were penalized for it because someone put this link on Twitter, and we had a bunch of some of my students are here. They know I've been calling them jerkies. We had a bunch of jerkies who came and Zoom bombed us. And so that's why we have to register now. So we're going to redo for Tara Nolan and Cyndi Thomason. Tara was able to do it, but just barely squeaked by before they showed up. And then Cyndi was just, forget it. It was over. So I want to welcome Tara Nolan and Cyndi Thomason tonight, who are going to be sharing readings. So here in Top 3 Book Workshop, the first Monday of the month, we do a reading called Monday Night Readings. Pretty easy to understand where that name comes from. And it's inspired by an idea I had because I have 1 foot in fiction and 1 foot in nonfiction. And the fiction authors I work with do readings all the time. It's just par for the course. The nonfiction authors I work with never did them. In fact, some of the big authors I work with still haven't done them. So I thought that's silly. Everybody works hard on their books. They have great stories. They have inspirational messages. Let's hear those readings. Let's showcase their hard work. And so we're really proud to share tonight. Tara Nolan is going to be reading from Money Moves, which is already available. You can get it today, and probably if you have Prime, you could have it tomorrow. And Cyndi Thomason is here with a book that comes out on Thursday, Motherhood, Apple Pie, and All That Happy Horseshit, one of my favorite titles of all time. And Cyndi's, and both of them, this is their second book. So big applause for both of them for writing wonderful books. They'll be reading excerpts, and then we'll have a little conversation about those books. One thing I wanted to point out is that here in the workshop is a safe space for authors and everyone here. What that means is no criticism, please. We just give positive feedback, and we like to give a lot of it. So you'll start to see in the chat, by example, some of my alums and students and Laura and myself leading by that example to show you what we mean by giving positive feedback for the things that resonate with you. We hope you'll join in. Am I missing anything, Laura? Okay, great. And if y'all have a question too for the author, you can feel free to put it in the chat. So I'm going to let Laura introduce Tara Nolan, who is live from some road somewhere.
So I'm happy to introduce Tara. Tara Nolan is the founder and CEO of Nolan Financial Partners, a holistic financial planning company that supports women entrepreneurs and professionals in achieving and retaining the lifestyles they want. She combines her knowledge of finance, background in strategic military planning, and focus on personal development to create transformational financial plans. I love how that sounds. Tara believes that financial uncertainty is one underlying cause of the fear and tribalism in our world today, and she works to expand awareness among individuals and small business owners and bring a feeling of financial empowerment back into the collective psyche. And I will put a link to how you can connect with her in the chat. AJ?
Thank you, Laura. Tara, we're so glad that you were able to talk with us again today and do this round 2. So your book is Money Moves. Why don't you share with everybody what is your core message and for whom did you write the book?
So my core message is changing where your money lives changes how your financial world grows. And I love that because Top 3 helped me really distill that down, and what a process it was to go from like this paragraph to going, how do I create that core message? And this book, the second question, AJ, is who's this book for? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this book is really for people who are busy entrepreneurs doing their thing, and they kind of know, like, I need to be doing this retirement planning and I don't have time for it, but I know it needs to be happening. So I want to connect with those people that know how to build their teams around them so that they can focus on what they're good at and then know that that's happening simultaneously while they're making their thing happen. So those are the ideal people, not the do-it-yourselfers, because there's plenty of how-to books out there, this book is much more of I'm going to explain to you how do you do it and find someone that you trust to create that added value with your whole process.
I mean, when you shared the core message with me, it blew me away because I am a person who grew up with certain money messages, and I learned in your book that those money messages affect us going forward. And I just thought, well, you have to be a bajillionaire before you understand these things about money and know what to do with it. That's, little orphan Annie talk right there, but it's just what I grew up believing. And I learned from your book that I can move my money into different places, and it can work much harder for me and help me reach my goals. It's not necessarily about more money, but about where the money is. And to me, that was just a game changer. Also, your book is chock full of case studies. I mean, really great stories. So I want to make sure that I emphasize that because we won't be hearing one of those today, but it's almost every page. And that's a great thing because it helps someone like me who doesn't understand finances very well. I need those stories. I need somebody to show me how someone else did it and then show me how someone else did it. And then I'll probably figure it out. So I want you to just set up, if you would, the excerpt we're about to hear today.
So we're going to read just kind of an excerpt from the beginning because, AJ, I think a lot like you, that the money messages I had growing up I was never taught anything. So it was just kind of as a child, I was picking up from the world around me. And so you know how that there's things that you learn that are skewed as a kid through that lens. But then as you become an adult, that never shifts. And so you need to make that adjustment to go, oh, I'm a big girl now. So I can have some different thoughts. So we're gonna do that excerpt, and then I'm just gonna do a small piece about this idea of what it means to do holistic financial planning versus the traditional stovepiped way where one person does your insurance and one person does your 401k and that kind of a thing.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll let you read, and then when you're finished, we'll have a little bit of a more conversation about this topic. All right, here we go.
All right, here we go. My Irish Catholic grandfather provided for a family of 9. He was the sole breadwinner, as was expected in his generation, the 1950s. To me as a kid growing up, Grandpa was that nearly bald guy in glasses, sitting in his recliner in his comfortable house clothes, who would occasionally bark, "What are you kids doing?" He was sometimes fussy, sometimes scary. It shocked me to learn he had a life before us. He was a young man once with a head full of hair. He had been in the war overseas, and he'd had entrepreneurial dreams that were overcome by the need to provide for this ever-growing family. This took a toll on him. When my mom went back to medical school at 42, after I'd already left college myself, I asked her why she didn't go right out of high school. She confided that she qualified for a state scholarship, but my grandfather had kept it from her. In fact, he told her, "You're not going to college. You're getting married and will be trapped like the rest of us." My grandfather's generation accepted the fact that you got married, you bought a home, raised kids, and worked until you earned a pension, and that was a good enough life. And yet for him and so many, it wasn't good enough. Far from it. The frustration of having to subvert passion and inspiration to responsibility and reality can be soul crushing. And I want to change this for you. When I was a senior in high school, my mom dragged me to an air show. Seeing the Thunderbirds fly for the first time sparked something in me. I walked around the static displays and asked a pilot what it was like to fly one of those planes. She replied, "I don't know. Women aren't allowed to fly them." My spark ignited, and this led me to attending the Air Force Academy. I eventually got to fly, but my C-130 didn't go upside down, and it wasn't on the pointy end of the spear. So for me, it felt like a little reminder of my failure to achieve my goal. I did like the mission. Delivering needed people and supplies on dirt strip landings was pretty cool, but it didn't feel like my dream. I was 11 years into my Air Force career on a predictable path to finish my retirement and earn a coveted pension when I started to wrestle with big philosophical questions like, I only get one life. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Do I go for what I want, or compromise to have a perceived sense of security. It is hard to live the life of your dreams and plan for your future when you feel like you're not being paid enough. I usually felt like I had daily living expenses and responsibilities, so I could not invest enough. Even when I did have some disposable income, I didn't know how to find an advisor I could trust. Further, as a type A person who likes to be in control, I felt like I should be able to figure out money and do it myself. I only had 24 hours in a day, and I had a lot of adventures on my list. Money is something I needed, but it didn't feel inspiring to obsess over it. And I didn't know how to change my financial destiny as I saw it. When I mentally pulled the trigger, admitting out loud, I was not going to be an airline pilot. I was not going to work in a cubicle 9-to-5 job. I was going to be an entrepreneur. The ground started shifting under my feet. I studied successful, wealthy business owners to see what they knew about money that I didn't. Many of my life experiences around money came into focus in a very different way. I learned about making money in chunks instead of getting a monthly paycheck. But I didn't know what to do with those chunks. When I started asking questions, it got confusing. My real estate training taught me that the stock market was a waste of time. Some of my finance training taught me the buy term and invest the rest strategy. Other schools of thought said fixed annuities were the only way to go. Where is the truth in all of this? And which path would help me achieve my goals? It isn't any wonder people give up on their passion, their retirement dreams. Finance is a world of mixed messages, outdated methods, myths disguised as truth, and experts who, despite their good intentions, do not see the whole picture for their clients. You want to achieve and retain the lifestyle you want, but are struggling with competing financial priorities and time limitations. You want that mental space available for creative outlets, more time with your families, and ability to pursue passions. What you may not realize is you're also dealing with procrastination and uncertainty and feeling like you don't have enough money to invest. You are bombarded by the media with messaging telling you you should be investing, creating amazing lives, and doing it all alone. This is frustrating, not because there's a lack of information, but because there is an overload of information, and it's hard to sort through. You have tales of loss from the stock market, and you may not even realize how legislation and the tax code have driven the demise of pensions. You now have to create your own retirement today. It was not always like that. Legislation and codes are constantly changing, and I will delve into this in chapter 8 so you have insight as part of your bag of knowledge. For now, I want to share with you about what you can control to make a positive impact on your finances. What I discovered in my own journey will help you cut through the noise and misinformation and create a strategy that will enable you to follow your spark and live a better life, maybe even the life of your dreams. It's a mindset shift that I have understood in my 20s instead of my 40s would have dramatically changed my financial future. It's the mindset shift, the core of the work that I did with my extended family to help them out of financial insecurity. And it's the mindset shift that is the foundation of the work I do with clients and share with my audiences. Simply put, where your money lives is as important as how much of it you have. Once I understood that the right money moves could change my financial destiny, I made it my personal mission to help my family, then my clients, and now you through this book. I can't guarantee that you're going to have $35,000 a month or $10,000 a month, but I can show you how to live as if you do. It comes back to where your money's been growing. For example, if your money's been growing inside of a traditional IRA, about 20 to 30% of that money belongs to the government in taxes, depending on your personal tax bracket. You may look at your IRA and think, I have $100,000 in that account, but you actually have about 70,000. If you need that 100,000 to fulfill a dream, Perhaps you need to move the money to a more tax advantaged account so you can do just that. Your money should live in a place to help you get to your goal. For example, if you want to grow money for retirement, putting it into a savings account doesn't make much sense because a savings account doesn't earn any kind of interest right now. And money for retirement doesn't need to be liquid. But by the same token, if you need emergency money in case the car breaks down or the washing machine dies or life's little emergencies happen, you don't want to tie your money up inside an IRA because then you can't access the money without paying penalties. It's very important to understand what job your money has and why you have your money in specific places. Your money should have the job of helping you realize your vision. Based on your risk tolerance, your money should be working in a safe money account or a growth account. I find most people do not know where their money is living. I encourage you to think about this for a minute. As an advisor, my goal is to help you move your money, either safe money or growth accounts, from taxable to either tax deferred or tax-free situations. You have multiple options of specific investment vehicles that you can use inside these accounts, and we go into detail in chapter 6. The first crucial step, though, is saying out loud, my goal is ... exclamation point. Once you understand the first step, then you can go back and say, how do I want to get there? I'm a very conservative person and I don't like any risk. Or maybe you're okay with some risk. And then you ask, well, how old am I? How long until I plan to retire? Do I like my job and think I'm going to stay a while? You can survive having a little more risk because your money is doing its thing while you're still working, paying for your food, clothing, and shelter. These are all the considerations you need to understand. In this chapter, I'll share some true stories with you to help you see the power of making the right money moves, no matter how much you have. You don't have to cross your fingers and hope retirement will work out for you. You don't have to subvert your passion so you can take care of your family. And you don't have to wait until you grow your money until you have enough to invest. The bottom line is, if you change where your money lives, you can change how your financial world grows. Now, let's be clear. You could cash out your 401k, buy a boat, and stop your financial world growth. That's not the change I'm talking about. Together, we will examine what can happen if you stop stuffing your money under your mattress and put it to work for you, and you can start today. Holistic planning. In 1994, I looked at what it would take to provide combat capability from my Air Force Base in Florida to the Middle East. The F-15 fighter airplanes provide air support to ensure no enemy aircraft would fly into the airspace where Americans and allies worked. The footprint of the extra support needed to get the planes in the air was the puzzle. The planning vision moved combat capability from the United States to the Middle East. The strategy revolved around prioritizing what needed to be in place first in a comprehensive beginning to end list. Planners got tunnel vision focusing on the major equipment like airplanes and forgetting basics like people need water and bathrooms. This happens in financial planning when people get focused on 401ks and forget they also need life and long-term care insurance to protect their families. Logistics planning in the military requires success. An almost good enough solution can be one course of action, but my boss always needed a conservative plan that guaranteed success as much as is possible in life. Some financial planning relies on Monte Carlo simulations that will guarantee a predicted rate of success. A prediction of 75 to 85% chance of not outliving your money is considered good. How does that feel? Are you comfortable with probably not running out of money? This is why I recommend strategic thinking that includes a comprehensive approach with the goal of eliminating gaps or holes in your plan. Empirical evidence makes me believe Murphy's Law is real, and we need to try to plan for it with our finances. The final planning step to move troops from the to the desert identified the types of airlift to move people out the door. All airplanes are not the same. For example, a tanker aircraft is designed for in-flight refueling, so it carries a lot of gas to just a few people. A tanker aircraft will help drive fighter airplanes across the ocean, but who's going to receive the fighter airplanes in the desert to park them, fix them, and prepare for mission flights? A cargo airplane can carry things like pallets of water and porta potties. And while it's exciting to plan for the flashy things like fighter airplanes that gin up visions of Tom Cruise and Top Gun, wars are won with sound logistics planning. You get this kind of tunnel vision with your investment decisions all the time. If you cherry pick different solutions, like focusing on a 401k while ignoring your whole picture, you may not really solve your entire problem. Ed, your coworker, invests in super amazing fund X. So you think, I'm going to invest in super amazing fund X too. Does Ed from work also have 5 kids he wants to get through college? Maybe super amazing fund Y would be better for you. Conventional thinking is not bad, but it leans toward more of a one size fits all solution set. Strategic thinking zooms out to a bigger picture, identifies those gaps in your plan and fills them in. It's not your fault if you believe some of the things out there, but now you can make a different, better choice to look at your financial world in a holistic way. That's it. Thank you.
Yay, Tara. Awesome. So I want to just ask you, don't mute. Come back off mute. Come back to me. Let's give some props to Tara in the chat, what you might have enjoyed about that reading. Tara, I always like to ask, what's the change you want to see in the world because this book exists?
I want to see people understand as early as possible kind of the elements that they need to be thinking about, to pay themselves first, and just make that part of what they do, like your food, your clothing, your shelter, just to start making that a part of a muscle memory, like eating healthy or going to the gym, because it's part of creating that feeling of abundance. Money is one part of that. And I think sometimes creative types especially get really focused on what their outlet is and doing that, but then they don't take care of themselves with their money. And that can be a super drain when you have a lot of stress about that. So I would love people right from the get-go to have an idea about how to take care of themselves so that they can really focus and contribute in the way they want to contribute.
And tell me a little bit about, so the book's been out for a little bit, so tell me how it feels now. Has anything surprising come up for you since the book came out?
It's just been fabulous, all the support. So like book launch day was amazing to watch the process to go from like the weekend before, like number 833,000 in the list, and then up to like 39,000, and then slowly work the way up. And we eventually hit number 1 on book launch day for financial services and education. And that was because of you all and everybody's support, right? That wasn't what I did. So it's this idea of a team and all the different facets of your life. It's really exciting. And I like the idea now that the book is out, that now there's this other part of me that's out in the world doing its thing. And I like, it's going to make things happen that I don't even know about. And it's exciting. And with this group, AJ, that you put together, I just love to have this community of people that get to share it, because I feel like it's such a team effort with all the advanced readers. And it just, yeah, it's really exciting.
You're just beaming. You're beaming.
You reminded me, I had a general officer forum for the Air Force Reserve that I did in Nashville last week. And one of my retired mentors was there. We were waiting, and she's like, okay, I'll download your book. And so she downloaded it on Kindle. And then after we got off the flight, we both flew back to the spring. She said, your book really reads nice. It's got a lot of stories. I'm going to recommend this to all my girls.
Yay.
And so I was like, stories matter.
Stories matter. How we write the book matters. Writing for a reader matters. You did all those things. You were tireless in making sure that that book was the one you wanted it to be. And now it's here in the world and helping people.
And so thank you, AJ and Laura and everybody that helped that happen. It's exciting. So anyone who's in the process, stick with it. It's worth it.
Yes, finish the book, right? We're so proud of you, Tara, and we hope you can stay if it's possible to enjoy the. Okay, great. Thank you, Tara, so much. Okay, everybody. So you know where to get Tara's book. There's links in the chat, and we hope that you'll support her if it fits your budget, for sure. If not, please go request from your local library. If you request you can do that online, you can do it in person. And that's a great help to authors as well, because then they order the book. So and also that means the book is there for other patrons in the library. So it's another great thing you can do for authors. So Cyndi, you're up. Hey, Cyndi.
Hey, AJ.
How are you doing?
I am great.
Good. So I'm so excited about this book. And I want to just, before we get into core message and all of that, you already wrote a book that's very successful, Profit First for e-commerce. And that book continues to do very well and opened up things and helped a lot of people. But this is a different book. This is a very personal book for you. This is a heart book, right?
Yeah, very different. Very different.
Yeah. It has been a remarkable experience to see you fall into that and realize that vision, and to see you can do it, and to make the book yours, the way you sound, what matters to you, what you know works. And it's you, it's authentically you. Anybody who picks it up will read it as this is Cyndi's book. So tell us a little bit about your reader and what is your message for them?
Well, my reader is it's for moms who are trying to make this decision. It is kind of a no-win feeling of, do I go back to work or do I stay at home, and feeling like they're torn between wanting to be there and have the life with their child or children, but also feeling like there's a professional identity that they may be giving up. And I'm wanting them to understand that there is another choice, that you can create a business and design a life that is allows you to do both things and keep yourself fulfilled professionally while you're also serving that really important role of being a mom.
And what is your core message to them?
That there is a way to do both, that you can, through having your own business and creating it in alignment with your goals and dreams, that you can serve both roles effectively.
I love something you say in the book, which is you can have it all, and life is better for everyone around you when you do. Yeah, that just blew my mind when you said that.
Yeah, I mean, it's when we're all feeling fulfilled and on purpose, it lifts everybody up. Everyone that you come in contact feels pulled up from that. And I think that's, if the whole world were living their purpose, imagine what it would feel like.
Imagine that, for sure. So I am remiss in that I didn't have Laura do your bio. So we have to hear your bio. So we're going to pause and do that. Laura Stone, you ready for that?
I mean, Cyndi is such a doll. We've got to make sure everybody knows all the great things about her, right? So Cyndi Thomason is a speaker and thought leader in e-commerce, accounting, and mom entrepreneurship. Through her firm, Bookskeep, and her first book, Profit First for E-commerce Sellers, which sold like hotcakes, she has helped thousands of e-commerce businesses around the world. And when she's not working, my favorite thing about you, Cyndi, you can find her in the garden. She's a master gardener, everyone, where she cultivates her own dreams, both in the soil and in her heart. And I'll put a link for how you can connect with her in the chat.
Love that. So why don't you tee up this excerpt, Cyndi? What are we about to hear?
Well, you're going to hear about how I decided Dave and I decided that we wanted to start a family. We both were, we were married, I think 17 years before we decided we wanted to have kids. And so this was a conversation that we had one day on our way to work, and made that decision. So we're going to start with that.
All right, here we go.
During a typical Monday morning taxi ride in late 1997, I asked a question that would change our lives forever. Is this the right time to start a family? In the last year that I worked my corporate job, every week started off the same way. Monday morning was a flurry of activity, packing for the week, tidying the house, checking in at the office, calling for a taxi to take us to the airport. My husband Dave and I would typically catch early morning flights to our work destinations for the week. As we left our suburban neighborhood on this particular Monday, we got an update on expected travel time from the taxi driver and his assurance that we'd make our flights. Finally, still for a few moments, we looked out the car windows at the growing neighborhoods we passed. Carrie is getting 15 new residents a day, the taxi driver told us. Dave and I loved the North Carolina town and had called it home for 15 years. It was a great place to live, even though the roads weren't keeping up with traffic. During the rest of the quiet 20-minute ride, Dave and I talked about our plans. We both had great jobs. I had been at Advanced Energy for more than 10 years and had grown in my responsibilities. After years of managing administration in the areas of accounting, contracts, human resources, etc., I was now serving as Vice President of Business Development. Dave had finished his MBA at Duke University and was consulting for KPMG and traveling to help develop activity-based costing systems for heavy manufacturing clients all over the East Coast. We could have kept these jobs and grown in these businesses, yet Dave itched to have his turn at running a manufacturing facility. He had worked in engineering and supervisory roles and was now consulting with financial leaders. He could see how it all came together and wanted the chance to make it work under his direction. As we talked about this possibility, it became clear that his next job would require us to move. While we headed toward the freeway, the well-maintained neighborhoods of Cary formed the backdrop of our conversation. Dave asked, "Is it the right time to consider changing jobs for both of us?" I was not really keen on getting another job. I was working at my dream job. My entire career had been with the same company. I had started as a receptionist and worked my way through the ranks to a position on the leadership team. I felt accomplished, as I'd also earned my bachelor's degree in economics while working full-time. I was fulfilled and on purpose. No job could be better than what I already had. And yet I worried that as a woman in my mid-30s, my window to have a child had started to close. If I didn't have children, would I miss out on some of the richness of life? That's when I asked the question that would change the trajectory of our lives. How about you get a new job and we try to get pregnant, and I won't work until the baby goes to school? Where did these words come from? Was I really ready to consider this possibility? Dave thought for a minute. He always pauses to choose just the right words. He said, "If that's what you want, let's do it. I can see that working." I started running through the impact of such a decision. We'd be living without my income for a few years, and we enjoyed our comfortable lifestyle. It allowed us to have nice furniture and new cars and travel whenever we had the time off. 2 high-level positions with great compensation allowed us to afford this life. Could we handle the adjustment to our standard of living? What about the cost of raising a child? How would we afford that if I didn't work? I knew from a financial perspective that it would be a challenge. I also knew that I wanted to be at home and not working during those early years. I had this ideal childhood in my mind that I wanted to create, and I couldn't see work as a part of that picture. In my heart, I was also concerned about working a demanding job and taking care of a baby. I was sure that I would be brokenhearted to leave my child and stressed out if I tried to juggle work responsibilities when I wanted to be with her. I recalled a friend and coworker calling me in total panic mode one morning. She had taken her child to daycare on her way to the office as usual, but she got out of the car and she accidentally locked the door with the keys inside, the car running and her baby in the car seat. It was cold outside and she was worried that her car would run out of gas before she could get in and her baby would get cold. She tried to hold it all together and then her baby started to cry. It was tears for all of us. Luckily, the police came and my friend was in her car in no time. Experiences like this convinced me that I would feel scattered and overwhelmed trying to work and take care of a little one. I wanted to be home with my child. Dave said, if I get a good plant manager's job, maybe I could make enough for you to stay home with our baby. Talking about starting a family on our own terms gave us a sense of possibility. Now on the freeway and stuck in traffic, our plan started to take shape. Dave had been contacted by a headhunter who mentioned a job in the Midwest. We knew that we would have to leave our family and friends, but the lower cost of living in rural Missouri, along with a nice bump in salary for Dave, made it worth considering as part of this new family plan. By the time we arrived at the airport, we had made the huge decision to start down this path. Dave would move forward with the job interview, and I would research the actual cost of living for the new location and contact our realtor to determine what the housing market looked like for the possible sale of our home. Once we started to take these small steps, the path unfolded before us. In a few short months, we resigned from our jobs, sold our home in North Carolina, and started a new life in Missouri. Our daughter was 9 when I decided to start my business. We needed a little extra money, and I missed my identity as a professional person. I missed work. Now, though, I could create a business built around my personal values. For me, that meant putting our daughter first. Deciding how to fit a new child into your routines and how to handle work and the role of mothering is 1 part planning and 300 parts emotion. You may be wondering how you can possibly manage your corporate career, which demands so much time, energy, and focus, and be the mother you desire to be for your child. Maybe you are home with your baby, considering how you will handle the logistical demands once your maternity leave is over and childcare, work, and a commute are everyday realities. Maybe you're dreading the idea of leaving your child behind and can feel that coming heartbreak. Possibly you're experiencing the greatest love of your life, yet feel detached from a part of you that was doing work you were passionate about, or feel disconnected from your purpose, disengaged from achieving your goals, or isolated from the people in your network. Perhaps this little bundle of joy that has stolen your heart is causing you to rethink your goals. Maybe going to the office and working for someone else isn't appealing anymore, especially now that you need more flexibility. Or is the idea you've always thought about for a business screaming in your ear? These are all consuming thoughts, and they keep you up at night. You worry because you will have to go back to work soon, and that entails heartache and logistical stress. Or you worry because you're not planning to go back to work right away, and being home full time is causing you to feel like you don't really know who you are anymore. As moms who also hold down jobs or run businesses, we are excellent problem solvers. Look, you already found a book to help you. You have taken the first step toward creating a home and you have taken the first step toward creating a work and home life that is driven by your personal values and heartfelt desires. The concerns you have and the reasons behind them may differ, and so will the solutions. Rest assured, there are options and you are not stuck. Women have been solving this issue for years, and our creativity and resourcefulness always see us through. Let's start by reframing the most fundamental issue around separating your business and personal lives and get in touch with what you really want. Okay, and then right towards the end of that chapter, this section is called You Can Have It All. There will always be challenges. They will be different for you than for anyone else. Your business ideas are different. Your children will be different. Your technological needs will be different. Your support network will be different. No matter your challenges, there are ways to make it work, and the key to uncovering those ways lies within you. You can have children and have a business, and when you create the space to uncover your desires, as you will learn to do in the next chapter, you can determine how your life will work. If you are motivated to create both roles in your life, then you will find a way. While it won't be easy, it will be fulfilling. As I said earlier, as entrepreneurs and moms, we're great problem solvers. You will start to see challenges as something else to overcome. You will get so good at overcoming that those mountains really do become molehills, just steps in your journey. I'm leaving all the angst and emotion and crying I experienced on my own journey out of this chapter. As you will read in the stories throughout this book, though, there's usually plenty of that. If you are a mom without a business, there will be plenty of that. If you are a business owner and not a parent, there will be plenty of that. And weirdly, in a non-math way, when you put them together, they don't actually add up. You see, the skills, discernment, and confidence you gain from doing both actually make doing each a little easier. When you get in touch with your dreams, you live with a little more ease and a lot more grace. The path I've laid out for you in this book will help you have it all on your terms. In the first part of the book, you'll set up your world to create a life based on your personal values. Then I'll walk you through some of the strategies I used to build a business that supported my life. You'll find exercises at the end of each chapter that encourage you to get in touch with your unique desires and offering. These exercises will prompt you to do the deep work as you are called, to spend time reflecting and being brutally honest about what is important to you, to let go of expectations that society, your family, and even you may have that aren't aligned with your goals, and to develop a plan and get started. The details will get sorted along the way, just as they did for me and all the other moms in this book. Once I started my business, I gained perspective, confidence, and ease. All aspects of my world seem to be in better harmony. It is a struggle to achieve work-life integration, but it is so worth it. Yes, you can have it all on your terms. And you know what? It's better when you do have it all. Your family will be happier, your team will be happier, your clients will be happier, and most importantly, you will be happier. There is never enough time, and yet I know that when you're up all night and unsure when you'll get to shower again, the time seems to drag. Everyone who has lived through it will tell you the same thing, and I expect you've heard it before. The ease for me began to develop as I recognized I had wanted a child without really understanding the full impact it would have on me. I didn't anticipate the loss of the part of my identity that was tied up in my work role. Ignoring that aspect of who I was made the day-to-day so much harder. Exploring and giving full credence to what you want for yourself makes your work as a mother so much more rewarding because you come from a place of wholeness instead of a place of lack. To help you navigate this time and all the questions I've gathered, I've gathered the most significant lessons and best tips and tricks I've learned along the way to share with you in these pages. I will also share some of the best experiences from other moms and entrepreneurs to help you realize that you can do it too, and you will do it your own way.
Ooh, great job, Cyndi.
Thank you.
I just love listening to you talk. I'm so glad that you recorded your own audiobook, which, by the way, will also be available for download on Thursday. So I encourage you to grab that. Cyndi, how do you feel now that your book is almost out in the world?
Well, my book is out in the world already because I made a mistake and somehow Amazon is already shipping it out. So it's like, I'm not sure what the launch week is actually going to be like. We'll see. But
letting everybody know that it's available is the point of the launch week.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to be finally at this place.
And so I asked this of Tara, and I asked this of everybody at Monday night. What is the change you hope to see in the world because this book is in it?
It was interesting because this has come up more recently for me. I want more women-owned businesses because I feel like more women-owned businesses will take care of women better in the workforce. And while I wrote the book really thinking I wanted to give women the option to feel like that there was another option, what I've really started to realize is if more women were business owners, the world of work would look really different for other women in the workforce. And that's where I really think I'd like to see a change.
Oh, and now you have a book to help you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's been something surprising about the journey to your second book?
Well, it was such a different book. You know, I wrote the first book. It was based on experience I had professionally, and it wasn't nearly so personal. And so the personal aspects of it and getting those stories out and making them, you know, feeling like I was telling them in a way that would help the reader, that took a lot of effort for me. Because I could ramble on quite a while, and distilling down what the important things were. That was just really so helpful in the editing workshops, is just figuring out what's important and how to share what's important.
Well, I mean, the book itself has had a huge impact on me, and especially you have a chapter that I love the best, which is about sacred space. And I don't think I fully understood that until I read your book. And it's for you you describe it as it could be not just a physical space, but just time, or just setting aside something, a time or moment that matters to you, the time where you're devoted to for your own reflection. And you talked about the importance of reflecting on what matters to you before you actually try to make these changes.
Yeah.
And how a lot of us aren't even taking that time for reflection. So how are we supposed to build a life according to our values? And that was a real game changer for me. Also, much like Tara, you have so many stories in this book from the interviews you did with moms, and some who are here today. And I just love that about it. It's very much like, I've said this to you before, reading Motherhood, Apple Pie, and All That Happy Horse Shit is like sitting down with one of your best girlfriends, or a group of them. But it's really about sitting down with one of your best girlfriends, because it's Cyndi, who is just gently giving you realness and nurturing and support as you think about these things. It's just a great conversation with friends who actually care about you, is what it feels like. And it feels that way all the way through. So I greatly encourage everyone here to get their hands on a copy, request it from your library. And then I noticed that Julia put a link in the chat for the launch party, which is Thursday. I will be there. I'm stepping out of another event so I can be there, because I will absolutely not miss it. So that is, everybody can come and watch that and hear from some of the moms. Isn't that right, Cyndi?
Yeah, we're going to pick out a couple of readings where I'm going to share some stories from some of the other moms, and then get them to talk a little bit about their experience, and you know, some of the things like accountability and support groups and things like that have been important to the different moms that we've talked to. Made a difference in how they were able to be a mom to their children.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this week, but then for everything that comes after it, and for all the good that you're putting in the world through this book, and the things that you are helping us think about and process and claim for ourselves. So does anybody have a quick question in the time we have remaining for any of our authors? And you can ask about the books, and you can also ask about author experience, about being published and so forth, if anybody has anything. I'm wondering also if either of you have heard from readers beyond your advanced readers. So I know y'all had advanced readers, but have you heard from people who got the book and had some thoughts to share with you? How about you, Cyndi?
I haven't yet.
Haven't yet?
No.
Not even from your folks who got, how many copies went out early? Do you know?
I don't know. I did hear from from my boss in my corporate career.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and he wrote me and he said that he was really loving reliving some of the days whenever we worked together. So that was nice.
Oh, that's so nice. I
Yeah.
really encourage, if you read Cindy's book or Tara's book, that you not only leave a review, because that is just about the best thing you could do for an author, is to leave an Amazon review, but also just reach out and say and tell them what you loved about the book, because that authors live on that stuff. Tara, have you heard from any readers? So you
Yeah,
want to go ahead.
I've heard from several people, and it's that same thing that with what you taught me was creating the stories and allowing people to connect first and then get the information. So I love that approach, and how you because when you're the expert, you have the scene in your head. And what you taught us, I think, about telling stories, it's a way to make sure that the reader has the picture in their head so that they understand the message that you're trying to pass on. And I know that's obvious, but I'm just now really starting to get that. But people are liking that. So
that's good. Stories are magic for sure. Absolutely. So I want to thank everybody for showing up for the reading tonight. It is our last official Monday night reading of the season. We close down for the summer and then we'll be back again in September. But we are going to have one special night that's not the first Monday, but it is a Monday. If you want to share, Laura.
May 23rd.
Yes, on May 23rd. May 23rd, I'm going to do some readings from my book that's coming out. So if anybody wants to mark their calendars for that, but otherwise we're down for the summer. We're going to circulate an email with links to the readings we had for this season. And you can go on YouTube within a couple days and watch this if you weren't able to join. But then also we'll share links to the entire season that we just had, which was full of great content. So we thank you everybody for showing up. Most of all, we thank and congratulate Tara and Cyndi on a really beautiful, beautiful book in the world, already changing lives. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, AJ.